career is probably dying with no one knowing of any contribution I've ever made to creative music. But that's cool because I made an album already that I'm so proud of that, you know, if I died tomorrow, touch wood, you know, I would still feel fulfilled in it in a way.
The world is yours, and I'ma do it for all my niggas and all my haters who talking like we ain't all in and we ain't getting paper. No, I'm in my zone, and no, we not faking. Ride for my niggas all day, all day. I'ma die for my city all day. Oh, the world
Shit is crazy these days, maybe seem kinda strange to a nigga like me. My mama told me, thank God, keep my head in the game. What's the G off in this game? Got a nigga like me. I see this shit as clear as day, even in my sleep. And so I pull out my chain, be the fresh I can be. So I hate to stay off in your lane. Now you can't do it like me. I'll be the coolest on the block. It's your boy J. This for all my shorties that be getting money. This for all my niggas that be getting money. In this generation, ain't no hesitation. Wake up in the morning, you know I be on it. Living for the moment, you know I be on it. I'm crowd surfing, ain't no denying the high performance. Fuck a hater, try to tell me how to be now. Judging me on style, vocabulary, performance, not ordinary, original. Tell the haters simmer down. Focus on this life that I'm living now. Living now.
Welcome back to another episode of the Top Cast. That was my young homie Jay Geezer. Free world. Yes, you only free as you are in the world of your mind. Really, because when you go outside, it's a whole different story. Anyway, this evening, this episode is called Code Breakers. We discussing the system of white supremacy. I'm joined by my esteemed guest, Mr. Vonnie EC and Five, or as some of you may know him, the Five You Know again. Welcome back, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me for this discussion. I hope that it's a constructive conversation. And here on the Topcast, I'm more interested in having more serious and meaningful conversations because, you know, as was so eloquently said by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream. And my dream is that we could do better because right now we are in a very pitiful state. And I personally don't like it. And, you know, I don't have all the answers as to what to do about it, but I have taken what I consider to be the first step, which is changing my thought, speech, and action as much as possible. Anyway, welcome again, fellas. Glad that you could make time out of your busy schedule and come here to have this discussion with me. How you doing, Vonnie? How you doing, Five?
What's up, T.O.P?
How you doing, Vonnie?
Oh, I'm pretty good, man. I thought you were talking to Five. Man, I'm pretty good, man. I can't complain, man. Just on this road, trying to make it back home safely, man. That's about it.
You still on the road, Vonnie?
Yeah, I'm still out here.
Okay, indeed. Be safe. Keep it between the lines. The last time that we talked, we actually did a drop about it, and you had gotten into a vehicle accident, and thankfully, you know, your life was spared. You didn't suffer any injuries, so praise the Creator for that. And Five, you was just here not too long ago, kicking it with me and the young homie Tone and Ro on the Kings of Comedy. I think it was episode like 8 or something like that. But thanks both of you guys for coming back and having this conversation with me, because all three of us are familiar with Mr. Fuller and Dr. Welsing, who I consider to be the foremost authorities, amongst us Black folks in regards to the subject of racism and the overall understanding of how it works, what it is, and how it works. And it's not too many of us that have the courage or even, wish to broach such a painful and often confusing subject. So I want to give a big up to you guys for even having this conversation, because most Black people, they don't want to talk about racism until they have a racist incident, but it doesn't exist until then. And I think that a lot of Black guys, particularly on the internet, are really disingenuous, especially in terms of trying to place a lot of blame for our problems as a people, as a group of people, squarely on the behavior and actions of Black women, without taking into consideration that, like it was stated by one very popular YouTuber, we all cooperate in this system. So if that's true, then that means that Black men cooperate just as much as Black women. So neither of us really has a leg to stand on to blame the other for, our level or extent of cooperation with this system. What are your thoughts on what I just said, Vonnie? And I'll repeat the question to Five.
Yeah, it's definitely I'm definitely familiar with Dr. Neely.
Oh, you breaking up there, Vonnie? Vonnie must be in a bad area with a bad cell phone connection. I would gather. That's miracle of technology. That's how it is. Hopefully Vonnie will be able to come right back on and answer that question. For the time being, I'm going to mute Vonnie. And Five, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Vonnie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, bro. Can you hear me?
Okay. You dropped out there. I can hear you clearly. Yeah, I can't hear you, Vonnie. I can't hear Vonnie at all. Can you hear him?
Yeah, he's going in and out. But I'll answer.
Yeah.
No, I heard him briefly, but I'll answer the question until we can. I'll answer the question until we get Vaughn back clear. Now, can you hear me, T.O.P?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Someone have to our open enemy, regardless of the situation with our female. When you got Black males focusing on the situation with females, and not addressing these crackers, that's just weakness. You understand? That's just weakness. And there's no other way to cut that, because everybody knows that females in general are just, let me not use the word just. Females are usually the prize of the victors of war. So whoever the victor of the war is, whoever assumes power, their prize is going to be the female. You understand? And this is historically speaking, this is just power dynamic. So if we got Black males, because I call them Black males, I don't call them Black men. We got Black males online, and 99% of their content is about females. Those are, they're weak. You understand? Because our enemy is not focusing their attack on our enemy isn't focusing their critique on their women. Our enemy is focusing on how to defeat and degrade and to keep power from us. You see what I'm saying? So we got a bunch of black males who are operating on no code at all. No code. They're operating out of ego. They're operating out of hurt. And we've all been hurt by black females. If you've dealt with a black female, you have been hurt by a black female. It's 100%. But if we're in a war, the last thing you do is focus on what your women are doing or not doing, your females are doing or not doing. Because if you were on point, your female is going to follow suit. So, I that's my first answer for that. As of right now, T.O.P. Did we get Vonnie back on?
Yeah, I think Vonnie's just back with us. You there, Vonnie? I'm not sure what's going on with Vonnie.
Oh, he might have lost him. He probably chime back in.
Okay, there you go. There you go. All right. So you went out, you dropped out there for a second, Vonnie. But I was listening to you begin to answer the question that I asked. I can hear you just fine now. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can.
Dr. Millie Fuller, man, and what happened?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Vonnie.
Yes. Yeah, as far as white supremacy and listen to Dr. Millie Fuller, man, he definitely shaped my mind and my line of protocol with how I deal with shit, man. And basically it has turned me into a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know what I mean? Because just like my man Five was saying, man, all dudes is sitting around here blaming women for our problems and shit like that. And I don't agree with that. Because I look at the basics, I look at the natural order of things. You know what I'm saying? Now, we are the men, and we are supposed to be the natural leaders on this earth. Then why are we complaining about women? Why am I worried about what a woman is doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I see dudes, like he was saying, like how dudes be making this content, man. I see so many dudes, man. How was so many dudes making content focusing on women that they supposed to be beneath them, or who they say is beneath them, but you keep making content about these kind of women? That don't make sense to me. That don't add up. So when it comes to white supremacy, okay, that's true. A lot of things you have to look at today that's going on in the black community. You have to look at the history, and ain't nobody touching on that. Nobody is touching on that. Everybody just pointing fingers at each other. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just pointing fingers at the woman. The black woman is this, the black woman is that. Well, how do you expect a woman to historically respect you when you've just been totally beaten down and just conquered in front of the face of the black woman and your kids? You know what I'm saying? So how do people be acting like that shit don't linger on? Like, this shit is it's a serious situation. You know what I mean? Everything that's going on today, everybody's a freedom fighter. Everybody is comfortable doing all this freedom fighter shit on the internet. But a lot of this shit comes from our history in this country, man. And if you look at it, man, we are the only people who have the type of problems that we got. We are the only race in this country that is not connected to our homeland in no type of way. Everybody else is connected to their homeland. Everybody. I grew up going to school with a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and shit. And when we come back to school from summer break, it was common to hear them be like, yeah, I went to Mexico and I was with my grandparents in Mexico. I went to Puerto Rico, and that shit used to bother me deep down on the inside. You know what I'm saying? So black folks, man, we have no connection to nothing. And all this shit that we trying to base who we are on is a lot of this system that we in. But to me, a lot of us, man, we had to just take a look in the mirror, man. If we supposed to be the men, then the man has to take control. You know what I'm saying? First of all, man got to take control of himself, first and foremost. And Me personally, man, I'm not worried about what no woman do, man. Any, you know, we talk about sucking butts and all this type of shit. I don't any broad that I feel like I wouldn't deal with. I don't even see them, so they not even worth complaining about. You did so. Everybody, I feel like every man have to start looking at themselves, man. You know what I'm saying? Everything starts with you, and like as far as like white supremacy in total, you know, yes, it's true. It's white supremacy going on. We are under a system, and everybody got their own different way of trying to fight this system. You know, you got people who like to march, you got people who protest, you got people, you know, community activism. And honestly, I'm down with it all. Like me personally, I'm not finna get out there and march because I personally don't see that as being effective. So all I can do is just fight my own way. And I feel like one of the ways that we can better ourselves is that people have to be the change that they want to see. And that starts with each and every individual first. You
I
know what I'm
agree
saying? So
100%. I agree 100% with both of y'all. We are of one accord or one mind, as the cliche goes. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it's very, very close. You know, nobody ever agrees 100% with any other particular person, but that's neither really here nor there. Yeah, I find this topic to be something that we as Black people, specifically as black males, Black men, generally refuse to want to acknowledge and take any accountability for on our part. But we do see quite a few of these guys, and there are some guys who do talk about this subject without trying to make it seem like it's all on Black women. But from what I've seen, that's an exception to the rule. And it's even worse when you get into the sector of guys who are like Tommy Sotomayor Juniors. And what I think that a lot of us fail to understand is how broad, you know, this system, what the extent of this system, or what is the extent of this system. So in Mr. Fuller's code book, which I really highly recommend, you could go to producejustice.com, grab you a copy, get you a copy of his word guide also. I'll have to put the link in the video description below. But the beauty of Mr. Fuller's work is that it's like open source code, meaning that you can adopt the generalized part of the code and then adapt it to your own personal self. And it's like Vonnie was saying, or like he alluded to, there are a lot of modes of resistance, but all of the ones that we've tried thus far have not worked. And I would go even further to say, which is Mr. Fuller will also be in agreement with this because he also made the statement, all of those modes of resistance are already planned for. So for instance, when you seen when you see these protests happening and you see Black men or Black males show up, you notice that the response is different than if it's just Black women. That to say that mode of protest has been accommodated for. And so a lot of our modes of resistance have been cut off to us. So this is why Mr. Fuller's code is such a great thing. But the extent of racism covers at least 9 to 10 different areas of activity that all people are involved in. At least one area of activity 24/7, 365. And to be quite literal about it, most of us are engaged in multiple areas of activity on a daily basis, but we don't often make the connection when we say, for example, that there's a such thing as institutionalized racism. We don't associate those institutions with the people who created them and run them and govern them. But the first area of activity that we as Black people don't correctly acknowledge, where we are being dominated in by white people, is the area of economics. And I always point out to Black guys on the internet that in this one area alone, no Black man should be on the internet talking about that they high value when it comes to terms of economics, because you get your money from a motherfucker who's even higher value than you. So this is just the first area that we as Black people don't have a correct understanding about. And I've even heard some of us mistakenly or erroneously claim that our salvation alone is going to be through economics. And I beg to differ.
Yeah, that's an absolute joke.
If you guys could speak on this area of activity one at a time, I appreciate it. And give your thoughts on it. Five, Vonnie, either one of you guys could go first.
Go ahead, Vonnie. Vonnie there? Okay. Can you hear me, T.O.P?
Yeah, I can hear you. While we're waiting on Vonnie's response, go ahead and give yours.
I'll take over. Yeah, great
Can
point,
y'all hear me?
brother. You know what? Great point, brother. And you know what's even more powerful? I just had a little discourse with a brother on IG in reference to economics. And he tried to, he's one of these young guys who are not aware of white supremacy whatsoever. And he believes that, because he hangs around a lot of white people, a lot of immigrants, he believes that, race is the issue. It's economic. It's cut. The only color is green, and that's the dumbest thing in the world. And all you gotta do is ask any individual who says anything like that is what race, what face is what face is imprinted on this money, on this green, on this currency. So economics is the second area of human activity that Dr. Neely Fuller outlines for. And that is, like you said, that's where they got us dominated first and foremost. That's how they really got us controlled, is with the economics, is economic. That's where they hold their most power, in the tangible realm. Now, in the non-tangible realm, it's religion, but it's economics in the most tangible realm. And if they got us economically, then of course they're gonna get our women to do anything. You know what I'm saying? So again,
you still there, Five?
Yeah, I'm still there, brother. My bad. I had to mute motorcycles just driving past. I'm walking my dog. But yeah, so like Vonnie was saying, like, we gotta master ourselves first. And then when you master yourself, you take accountability for yourself, then we go out and attack our enemy full force. And our females are going to fall in line. They're going to comply.
I agree. Vonnie, your thoughts?
As far as, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, as far as the economics part, man, I think that's definitely a major part of our issue. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's you can't overlook that, because even in everybody else that has came to this country, man, they came to, while every other ethnic background was able to come here and build on top of what we built. So the economics is a huge thing. Now, it's definitely not the only thing, because you still get your economics together and still be a sucker. So, you know what I mean? To me, that's my fight. Every individual got to choose how they want to approach this thing, because it takes every individual. You know, it's not gonna be we all say we got to come together, and everybody we come together and we hold hands and lock together like Voltron, and then we go attack the system. That ain't never finna happen. Because for one thing, black folks, we too comfortable today. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got it today like our people had it back in the day, from slavery to Reconstruction time to Jim Crow. Like, we don't know nothing about that. We comfortable today. You know what I'm saying? You get clean water. You know, you get to go to the store and buy clean soap, good products. You get to get all the same products that white people get. So we don't have a lot of the same problems that they had back in the day. But we still behind, and we still lacking in our economics. But the way I choose to look at it, you know, there are a lot of black people out here that's being productive, a lot of black creators, a lot of businesses being started. Black people, to me, from what I've seen, man, black people are slowly waking up. Now, we not all just finna just wake up at the same time and then march in the same direction and do the same thing. Like, this shit gonna take time, man. Like, you gotta understand, we've been fucked up for a long time. You know, and slavery was just really right around the corner. Like, I'm not gonna call myself a historian, but I've read a lot of history books, man, and it takes centuries to millennia for shit to change for a civilization and groups of people. So we only 100 and some years change around the corner from slavery. So it's still gonna take us time to get together. So I choose to look at the positives that are happening. And the best way that I can fight, first and foremost, the best way that I can fight, man, is not just by economics, but by looking inside myself, man, and getting myself together, correcting myself, and is being the best man that I could possibly be. You know what I'm saying? All areas, and I feel like that's a journey that each and every man has to.
Yeah, you breaking up there again, Vonnie.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, a lot, just to wrap it up, a lot of us is not standing in a man's position.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We still going off of what society told us things is. You know what I'm saying? We still looking at shit. A lot of us truly are basing off what a man got to do, off what the fuck they was talking about back in the day off Ricky Lake. You know what I'm saying? Off the Ricky Lake talk show or Montel Williams. Like, that's what a lot of us think that being a man is supposed to be.
Dudes really don't have no clue. But I just want to say two things before we move on to the next area of activity, which is education. But the first thing is that Dr. Welsing said that, sorry about that. Mr. Fuller said, if you don't understand racism, what it is and how it works, then everything that you think you understand will only confuse you. And Dr. Welsing said that it took us several centuries to get into this situation. Some of our historians have made the claim that this has been going on for the past 6,000 years. And it could very well take that long for us to get there. So I just want to say that in acknowledgement of these two giants of our species, Dr. Wilson and Mr. Fuller. And again, I suggest that if you don't have their works, get them. It's worth it. Next, I want to move on to the area of activity, which is education. a lot of us think, particularly black women, because they brag about, their PhD, that, they went to a man to get a job, to get some money from a man, to go to school that men built and filled with books that they did research on to compile with knowledge to teach them. So all that to say that women ain't as independent as they think they are. That shit is really just feel good language. So I for the most part, I ignore that when I hear it. But the area of education, a lot of us as black people don't seem to understand that our enemy, or our opposer, or our opposition rather, is going to educate us into successfully overcoming and or defeating their system. Not going to happen. Also, what we fail to understand is that, one, people can make up a system, and the system of white supremacy is composed of white people, and that it's very distressing for us as black people to think that we're sending our children to be educated by racists, or that we ourselves are being educated by racists. And this is another area of activity which we are dominated in by white folks. You even get some black men do it too. They get their little 1 degree of knowledge from white folks, and they wave it all in your face like like it really means something. And I beg to differ. As far as I understand from history, we as black folks, Africans, are the pioneers of many of these areas of activity.
All of them.
And I would like to know what you guys' thoughts are in regards to the area of education.
Absolutely. Can I take over first, T.O.P? Is that cool, Vonnie?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. If you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is paramount because right now they got this discussion going on in the media sphere about this so-called critical race theory. Now, critical race theory is nothing but a diluted study of white supremacy. That's all it is. And it was created by a black female her name is Kimberly Williams Crenshaw. Kimberly Williams Crenshaw. This black woman is the most powerful black woman on the planet. I'm going to say that again. Kimberly Williams Crenshaw. She's the most powerful black woman on the planet. She's arguably the queen of black America. Oprah takes her cues from her. Gail takes her cues from her. These women follow her command. Now, why am I bringing this up? She's a feminist. She is the black woman who created the term intersectionality. Now, since we're on the topic of education, we all know that the public school system is controlled by white supremacists. So like T.O.P said, the opposition is not going to teach you anything other than to make sure that you continue, make sure you and your lineage is in servitude for them. You know what I'm saying? And to control it. So us sending our kids to these schools and being surprised that they're lying about history, that they want to ban so-called the teaching of critical race theory, like I said, which is a diluted study of white supremacy, that shouldn't be no surprise. And to be honest with you,
Yeah, you're breaking up there pretty bad, Five.
My bad. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, if any black person in America that is willingly willingly sending their kids to European schools, I mean, they deserve the repercussions that's going to come from that. Because a European school doesn't do nothing but teach black people how to be employees for them. As soon as I forgot what scholar it was who said it in the 70s. The worst thing that can happen to a black man is a good European education, and that's a fact. And I got an associate's degree. I have an associate's degree, but I've never.
Yeah, I got one too.
Yeah, but mine is in electronics. But I have never been so. I mean, I knew what it was when I was going to school. I was being trained to be an electronic technician or network engineer, and that's what I did. But as far as my knowledge of history and more,
yeah, you breaking up
PhD.
again there, Five.
Damn. Yeah, I got two aunts that got PhDs, and they're completely indoctrinated. Like they literally, like they will, like it's just insanity. So yeah, education. That's where they target our kids at, and we have to come up with an alternative, because that's how they're gonna snatch the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, Vonnie.
Well, yeah, that's interesting, man. As far as education, well, why would they? Well, I remember when I first realized that what they was teaching us and what they was not teaching us years ago. And when I first realized this, I was angry. When I first started understanding like money and financial literacy and history and things that they was not telling us, I got angry. You know what I mean? I was angry. And but then years down the road, I realized, well, damn, if we're at war and if you're gonna keep a people down and keep a people in servitude, so to speak, forever, then why would you teach them the same things that you know? Why would you? At one point in time during slavery, man, attaining any type of information from a black person, man, that was death. And that was death for any fucking white person that chose to help you, give you any type of information. You know what I mean? So like the type of information that we got access to nowadays, man, a lot of people take that shit for granted. You can go on Google and learn anything. I learned how to work on my car from YouTube. So I'm just using that example. It's crazy how we take education for granted these days. And really, education ain't nothing but information. That's all it is information. And when these women talk about how educated they are, well, what does that mean? Does that mean you smart? Okay, well, if you smart, then what does that mean? Because me and one of my homeboys having this talk. Smart really don't mean shit, but all you did was just memorize shit. You ain't created nothing. You ain't thought of nothing. You know what I'm saying? What did you create to really get yourself out of your situation? You just went to an institution and just memorized what they told you to tell, what they told you. You know what I mean? So as far as like education ain't nothing but information, man. And you don't have to go to school or go to some formal institution to be educated. You can read a book and get educated.
Big fact, not to cut Vonnie off. I just want to add one little piece to Vonnie's point. Can I do that real quick, T.O.P?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my bad, Vonnie.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you good.
Just one little piece. Okay, the operative definition of intelligence. Okay, smarts is different from intelligence, like Vonnie is saying. The operative definition of intelligence, family, is the ability to identify a pattern. The operative definition of a genius is the ability to identify a pattern before anyone else. You don't need a school, like Vonnie is saying, to a school or institution to develop an intelligence, to develop intelligence. That comes with repetition and discipline. Smarts, like Vonnie said, is just being able to memorize and then respit it or redo it based on memory. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown right there.
Yeah. That
So
is the method of education in this country and under this system. It's called rote learning, ROTE, or learning through memorization, which is why I don't do what I went to school for, because it's a lot of memorization and it's very, very monotonous. And for me, I got bored with it. It's not as well, it's creative, but it's not creative in the way that I want to be creative. If you had wanted to continue, Bonnie, please do so. If not, we'll go into the next area of activity.
no, we got 7 more areas to cover. We can go into the next one.
Okay, the next area of activity goes without saying. I'm pretty sure just about every black person in America is aware of the area of activity entitled entertainment. And for us black folks, you've heard it in songs before, most notably and probably recently by Jay-Z, when he was saying that all black folks got is sports and entertainment, in a song called "You Can't Knock the Hustle." But this is in this area we are most certainly dominated, especially historically. We have been made to become like the jesters or the clowns or the performers. And it's a lot of young guys out there, even now in 2021. And it was the same way when I was growing up. So a lot of us out there that think that we're going to make it big being a rapper or a singer, or we're going to be the next fashion guru or what have you. But I say all that to say that this is another area. Salute to you, Afri Kingdom. This is another area of activity that we as a people are dominated in. And this is the kind of conversation that us so-called black men should be having, because it's way more of a problem for us than what black women are doing. And like Five pointed out earlier, and Vonnie also, if we as the men of our group was going about doing the business that we supposed to be about, then we wouldn't even have time to be worried about what black women were doing. And they'd be more cooperative. And to just to touch back on the economic area, and I've said this before, as black men, we're very disingenuous. We don't like to accept the fact that when it comes to just material items alone, black women, when they say they don't need you, they're telling the truth. They have a point, because we get our material things from the same people they get theirs from. And why would they get it from you when you're not the source of it, when they could just go to the source? So with that said, could you gentlemen please give me your thoughts on the area of entertainment?
Well, as far as entertaining, man, yeah, you're right. That's all we is, man. A bunch of court jesters, man, in a lot of cases. Because when you look at sports, you know, when they interview the new rookie, or when they interview any player, basketball, football, and they show them what it's a total difference between how the scene look between a black player and a white player. When they show a lot of black players, what they doing, they in a mansion, they got 7 luxury cars outside, they got all this unnecessary shit. When they interview the white player, he's sitting at home with the family in a modest crib. You know, they got the family pictures on the wall, might have a pickup truck outside. So that's a clear indication of how we carry ourselves. And that go to show you what we still do when we get access to that money. We still blow it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these athletes, I mean, they didn't have the type of money, man, to help change a generation, to help change a civilization to people. And what they do, they give it right back to the people who gave it to them. You know what I'm saying? And then as far as like entertainment, music wise, now I'm a hip hop head. and I do mess with a lot of the new music today. I mean, even the music that we grew up on back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It was violent, it was murderous. You know, all that. That's the type of stuff we grew up on. But it's like now, at least, you know, see, at least back then, or even before, a little bit before my time, like Public Enemy was out. You know, it was messages in the music. You know, most rappers had messages. Master P had a message. UGK had a message. All them rappers back in the day, most of them had messages. Now, when you listen to the radio today, it ain't no message. And the rappers who do get a message, they don't get played like that. So that obviously goes to show you what they're extracting from us. You know what I'm saying? And even like, I'll never forget, man, I seen this video of Bobby Shmurda a while back. This before he had went to jail. I mean, salute to him, man, because it seemed like ever since he been out of jail, man, he been walking the straight path, man. I ain't heard nothing bad about that dude, so that's a great
He
thing.
been chilling. He been chilling.
And but I remember I seen this video, man, when he was auditioning for the people at the record labels, the record label execs, man. They had this dude jumping all over the table and shit like that, man. And I mean, he was looking like a monkey in there, fam. And you got these white execs that don't know shit about our communities. You know what I'm saying? They not of our culture, and they sitting up there bobbing their head. Oh my God, man! That whole scene was just disgusting. And that is how we look. That is how we looked at him. That's what they promote. You know what I'm saying? They want these rappers beefing. That's what they want. That shit sells, fam. Point blank. Period. You can start a channel talking about that shit. Look, that's how DJ Academics got on. Talking about the violence that was going on in Chicago. He ain't even from Chicago.
Shit, that's how a lot of these Manosphere and Red Pill content creators got on, because their conversation is 99.99% about women. It ain't hardly nothing about, you know, men actually being men.
Right, exactly. So, like, just to wrap it up, my end on the entertainment, man, I take it for what it is. I mean, that's what we are, man. As far, the only people who can really change that are the people who are in the inside. See, that's my whole thing with everything, man. I don't believe that, you know, yeah, at one point in time, I used to have these visions of everybody coming together and we go to war and we ready to die and we fight. But ain't nobody gonna do that and they ain't gonna happen. So motherfuckers got to start taking advantage of their positions that they in certain circles. And a lot of these athletes, a lot of these rappers and people who got all this money, they have the power to help change shit. And they don't have to give all their fucking money up. You know what I'm saying? But they have the power to change shit. But the way they got this system designed, man, with these deals and these contracts, man, and it just seems like it's always gonna be the same shit, man. Dudes is not gonna stop signing 360 deals, fam. No matter how bad the information is out there, they're gonna keep taking them. They're gonna keep taking them.
So that go right back to the first step that any black person who is indeed a victim of white supremacy can go about, you know, solving this problem for themselves. Because just like you said, I have long since come to the realization that we're not going to so-called come together, at least not in the manner that, you know, we generally think of it when we hear that. We have to come together under an ideal or a code that each of us can adopt and customize to ourselves. That's not going to create any more problems, but solve problems for us as a group of people. Getting to the next area of activity is labor. Now, a lot of us don't understand that just because we're a business owner, an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that you're any more free than the person who you have more money than, or who's a 9-to-5 worker. Because after all, even though you're a business owner, you're still subject to this system. And that being said, you actually probably, you know, an argument could be made anyway that you have more to lose than a 9-to-5 worker. But that be as it may. The next area of people activity is labor, or how you invest your time and energy to produce money. Is another area that we are completely dominated in, because as much as we don't like to admit it as black guys, we get on our jobs, and I know all of y'all done it because I've done it before, and talk big shit. Fuck this white man, only to get fired, to have to go down the street and ask his cousin for a job. And as long as this is the case, then as men, you can't look to black women and expect them to respect you as a man if you understand how women are. Women don't respect men who are subject to other men. You understand? That's how it works. This is a shout out to all you guys who complain about women's behavior online. You need to quit it. You're making yourself look like a sucker. Vonnie, if you could speak on this area of activity, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't get to chime in on the entertainment part. I just want to just drop one little bomb and then go back and go to what we're talking about now, which is labor. As far as entertainment, I just want the family and the listeners to look up a book called The $40 Million Slaves. I did a whole video on it.
I have that book in my library, and my apologies.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up, T.O.P. Yeah, William C. Broden, $40 million Slaves, to touch on Vonnie's point about these athletes, because that's really what the majority of them are. No disrespect to our brothers and sisters who are athletes, but they're basically controlled. So I just want to add that. Now, as far as the labor, like T.O.P. said, if you understand female nature, females just by nature, they're not going to totally respect any male that is dominated and subjugated to another male. Now, me, I don't like to shame my brothers and sisters who do work for the opposition, because 7 years ago I did, but I don't anymore. I quit every job I've ever had working for the opposition, and like literally cursed them out to their faces all the time. And I didn't curse them out and go to another company. I just cursed them out and just go back to what I was doing. But black men are in a very, very powerful position right now because of the information age, where you can monetize your skill set without working for anybody. So whatever skill set you have developed, since we're talking about labor, whatever skill sets you have developed, you can monetize that and become independent just because of the internet, just because of cryptocurrency, just because of how fast information is being spread and shared. And then, let alone the pandemic, a lot of people don't want to be in contact. So, I mean, to like Vonnie said, there will be no unity. I realized that years ago, and then a lot of our scholars have said that years ago. There's no collective unity amongst black people, because too many is the majority of us are dumb, deaf, and blind. There's gonna have to be grassroots, and all of us ain't gonna make it. I forgot who said it, but the first 1,000 bullets is gonna be for our own. And black males online, like the black males online focusing on females. I became so disgusted with them about a year ago, because I'm sitting there like, okay, opposition is literally gunning kids, black women and black men down, unarmed, every day. And they're using their platform to talk about females. And I said, okay, yeah, they're all a joke. So as far as labor, I suggest to all my brothers and sisters in my life, personally, use the skills you got and to monetize it and work for yourself. It doesn't happen for all of them, because not all of them have the strength to do that, because that is a gamble. It's a gamble. It takes a lot of discipline. It's a gamble. Like when I first went into business for myself, I didn't fail initially. I made a lot of money the first year, but then I got audited the next year and lost a lot of money, and damn near had to live it, and damn near went broke. So and it's been the ups and downs, but we're black men who are aware of the system of racism, white supremacy, and how it is dominating us in all 9 areas, and it's particularly labor. Since we are the most skilled in the labor force in our race, we're going to have to monetize it for ourselves, and that's what I want to say.
Before we get to Vonnie's commentary, I just want to say that I'm not saying that we shouldn't seek to be entrepreneurs or to own our own businesses or to monetize our skills. What I'm saying is that we still in the same system. And that being the case, we're not in control of the money supply. We're not the issuer of it. So if white people said that tomorrow at 9 a.m., Monday, July 19th, that your $20 bill is now worth a penny, it doesn't make a difference whether you're a 9 to 5 or you got your own business. Your money is now only worth a penny. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. But you should seek to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, because what you essentially do is you have more time in your life available for the things that you want to do. The time to focus on whatever it is your purpose in life, whatever your cosmic assignment is, as Dr. Wilson would say. Vonnie, your commentary?
As far as labor, and I had to agree with my man Five, man, because I felt that way too some years ago. Like, man, I hate, I still feel the same way. I still feel the same way about working for other people, working for the white man. But my idea about that has matured. And I feel like if that's what a person has to do, if they have to start off with a job, it's cool. But long as you I don't look at it as I go on and work for a living. I go to work to extract resources. And I'm taking what I'm getting, I'm putting that shit in and investing it into myself in different avenues. So I feel like that's what, if a black person, you don't have the entrepreneurial spirit, is always something you can do to grow your money outside of just depending on a check. You know what I mean? So I feel like, and I think it's more black people that are actually becoming financial literate. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to see more and more black people talk about stocks and Bitcoin, even though a lot of people, the way they talk about it, and I'm no expert, but common sense is common sense. I see a lot of people just gambling with the shit, but at least they talking about it. You know what I'm saying? At least the conversation is started. But as far as the labor force, I mean, labor is going to always be what it is. I mean, that's how our people started off in this country. Free labor. And now, see, when it comes to that, like, you got a lot of people out here that want to, we got this, well, we need to take from the rich and bring it to the poor. But what people don't understand is that ain't gonna never happen. Not as long as America is standing on the same foundation and principles that it started on, that ain't gonna never happen, because that's not how America works. That ain't how this country has been set up. It's set up for the minority of people to have the resources and the majority of people to be working for the minority. That's the way it goes. That's the way this is gonna go. And just like Five said, everybody ain't gonna make it. What he say? He said the first 1,000 bullets gonna be for our own, man. That's hilarious. Cause you know what I was just thinking the other day. I swear I was thinking this in my head. I'm like, man, if Nat Turner was to come back and ask me, what's the plan? I'm pointing at these niggas over here. We need to get rid of these motherfuckers, because these certain motherfuckers over here are detrimental to our progress. So that's real shit right there, man. That you had me cracking up when you said that. But as far as the labor, man, we have to think our way up out of this, because ain't nobody finna give us nothing. Nothing. We're never getting reparations. Nobody's ever put no cash in our hand. And when they do give out money, they're never gonna do anything specifically for black people. The only thing they're gonna do for black people, they have a program here, a program there, or if they do got some type of funding that we can get, is real low key. It's never put out there in the open to where it's public, where it's popular public knowledge to where people can go take advantage of it. So they're not gonna give us nothing. So we have to think our way up out of this. But most people, this is the way the world works. You know, if you want to be a boss, how you gonna be a boss? You can't be a boss without no workers. You know what I'm saying? So even black people that want to take advantage of being entrepreneurs, you still you still have to follow the blueprint of, you know, what the oppressor said. You know what I'm saying? You still got to pay people according to the way that's going to be profitable for your business. You know what I'm saying? This is the system that we live in, and until we can change it, we got to deal with it. You know, because I was just thinking about this recently, man. Like, because I used to have that attitude myself. You know, steal from the rich and give it to the poor people, man. But that is a poor man's perspective. That is a poor man's perspective.
And stealing is the same thing that put white folks on top. So, you know, I don't want to be like them. And I do hear you guys' sentiments, and I hear it from a lot of other black people. That,
hey, can I say one thing, T.O.P? Not
yeah,
because I want to add one thing.
Yeah, just a second. Let me finish here. The sentiment that we have to get some of these black people out of the way that's causing problems, and the pushback that I'm going to give to that is that it's the same pushback I give to guys who try to lay all of you know, the ills of what white supremacy has done to us collectively or at the feet of black women, is that if you remove the incentivizer, which is white people in the system, out of the way, then you don't have to do anything to those black people because the incentive has been removed. The same thing will work with black women. You know, you won't have the same problems out of black women if you remove the incentivizer. And this is what I keep the argument that I keep trying to make with these guys is, or the point that I keep trying to make with these guys is that you say that black women cooperate with white supremacy. I don't disagree with you. But what you're not saying is that you also cooperate with white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
For one. And two, I also go further to say that if white supremacy didn't exist, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation about black women. So your problem is not really black women. Their behavior is indicative of a larger problem. And that's the problem that we don't want to have a conversation about, because like Shahrazad Ali point out, it puts us on notice about the job that we are not doing as quote unquote men. So all that to say that I hear what you're saying. I won't lie and say that I haven't said that a couple of times or two myself, but I've come to what I think is a more apropos understanding, and that is I'm gonna save those 1,000 bullets for the 1,000 races, because if I remove them, then I won't have these problems out of black people.
Sure, you're gonna have to use those for your own off bucks because they're gonna betray you. This is what I want to add. The one thing I want to add as far as labor.
They can't betray me if the person who they gonna betray me with don't exist. If you understand what I'm saying.
They're gonna betray you before you can even target the person that your opposition is. They're gonna betray you first because they're closest to you.
But here is the beauty in Mr. Fuller's code. Again, it's quite like open source computer code. Is you can adapt it to yourself, right? And it's a specific line of code in there that says you're your own army. They'll never see you coming.
Yeah, maximum independent compensatory code. A maximum emergency action. Maximum independent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what Gavin Long Day was yesterday. That's what he did. But this is one thing I want to say, T.O.P. As far as labor and excuse me, the monetary system and all of that, Yes, they control it. I believe that, and I said this on Chakra Speak show about a month ago. I believe that black men are going to have to undermine the monetary system that the opposition uses. We're going to have to get as much money as possible, and then we're going to have to undermine it. That's my belief. Now that may sound that can sound however it want to sound, or whoever law enforcement is, but that's my belief. That's literally like basically like how I move. We got to do exactly because this system is going to fall anyway. But we need to get as much money as possible and then undermine the whole every principle of the system. Make it look like dirt, which because it really is dirt. So I just wanted to say that.
Indeed, indeed. I appreciate your commentary, sir. Moving right along, there's actually the next two areas of people activity are really very closely related, and those are the areas of law and politics. So I want to cover both of those in the same segment. We the lawmakers. The law is not for the lawmakers; it's for the law followers. We are law followers. I don't know too many people who don't seek to be a quote unquote law abiding citizen, and I agree that you should be. Keeps you out of trouble. Even though in this system, even as long as you're black, anything's subject to happen to you. But the same thing goes for the political part of the law, and we don't control the politics. This was very evident just here in this last election, where a lot of black men wanted to vote for Trump, or at least was willing to hear what he had to say in regards to what kind of deal he could give to us, as opposed to Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris. In these two areas, I would say that we are 100% dominated in these two areas, and these are two more conversations that, as black men, as a group of black men, we not having, because most of our conversations revolve around women, which to me, in a roundabout way, is pedestalizing women. Could you two gentlemen please communicate your thoughts on these two areas of activity, the area of law and politics?
Oh, absolutely. Can I go first, Vonnie?
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Law. All right. So, law, law in this country. Law is defined as American jurisprudence. American jurisprudence is law. So, in a nutshell, it's basically a bunch of sociopathic criminals, European men, who write in laws to dictate the behavior and to control a population, and to get them to operate in a manner that is conducive for controlling the society and therefore empowering a quote unquote government. That's what American jurisprudence is. That's what law is. Politics, Western politics, Western political science, Western politics is a derivative of what Niccolo Machiavelli outlined to control a society in the 1400s. Niccolo Machiavelli, he was an Italian diplomat. He wrote the book called The Prince. Niccolo Machiavelli. The Europeans who came to this country fleeing from England, they adopted Niccolo Machiavelli's scheme, because that's what it is, a scheme, really, and a principle to control a society. And that was a two-tier political system. Two-tier political system. Because in Europe, they had a monarchy. And what Niccolo Machiavelli understood, what he realized, because he was a political scientist, he realized that a population gets jealous of a monarchy because you got a king and a queen and a bloodline. So if you're trying to control 100,000 people under a monarchy, you can bet your bottom dollar 10,000, 20,000 of them are going to be very, very jealous. So what he did, and he outlined in this book called The Prince, you create a two-tier system of politics, and you make the populace believe that they have control and say so under both tiers. So then you put two figures on top of two tiers. And then you make the populace, you split them in half. They're going to be split in half regardless, because one tier has these principles and another tier has these principles. Democrat, Republican, same shit. It's literally what we're living out right now. So then the populace is going to sway one way, and you're going to have another side of the populace sway another way. And then you got control right there, because then you inject figures that you control as puppets to just sway the populace. And the whole time, they're both the same motherfuckers. Pardon my French, T.O.P. They're both the same individuals. You know what I'm saying? But the populace, they don't know no better. The populace believes that there's a difference between a Democrat and a Republican. And black people, we're the most politically naive people on the planet. Like, a lot of our people are just now understanding that you don't vote unless a political candidate has your specific interests at mind. A lot of us are just now understanding that. And that should be common sense. But, you know, like T.O.P said, law, politics, they got us 100% control.
Man, one thing that I've learned, I was always raised to go vote Democrat. I didn't know what the hell I was voting for. I just went and voted Democrat. And then after a while, certain things just weren't adding up to me, man. And then I started thinking with my own mind. And politics is a trip, man. Politics, I got a better grasp and understanding on it. See, I don't believe in politics, but I do believe those people that's in those positions can be used. You know what I'm saying? You got the right resources to add incentive. Those people can be used. Like, I don't care about politics. I didn't even vote this last election, to be honest. But if I got the resources, because I know that's what it's going to take in politics, then I'll deal with some politicians if they're going to do my bidding. Me and whoever people, whatever syndicate I'm a part of, then I will use them as tools, because that's all they are. That's all they to be used for. Just like people was getting, when Trump was releasing people, he released a few black people, a nice substantial number from what I heard. What was it? Was it 700 or 7,000? Something like that. But then the people who was in favor of Trump for doing that, the people who were speaking against Trump, he just did that because, well, duh. That's what a politician does. That's what this is all about. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. That's what he's supposed to do. What, he's supposed to love him? I don't give a damn how Trump feel. You know what I'm saying? If he did something for us, or if he did something for, a party that's alongside with, our general views and whatever can cater to us, then I'm all for it. It don't matter who it is. But the funny thing will really let me know about this election, man, will let me know about my people, man, how behind we are, man. We let Joe Biden get up on the Breakfast Club and say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Now, to me, that's the most, that is way more disrespectful than anything Trump has ever said.
Facts.
I would say racist. Yes.
That is the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard any politician say. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, man. Black people, we fought to put this man in office. Like, how you just gonna let we really sat up here and let him say that? We really sat up here and let him say that, and we went and voted for him. Like, who gave him the permission? Where did he get the gall from to say some shit like that? Who told him that? Kamala?
Nah, he's that's how white supremacists do. They all about, and I should have did this in the beginning of the show. but I like to give a definition. And this definition is not original, but I agree with it. Because one of the biggest mistakes that we make, and I made it here in this show, is we don't define what it is. So let me just take the time to do that right now. White supremacy is racism. They're one and the same. There's no difference. And my definition, or the definition that I use to define what I'm talking about, goes as follows. It's a global system of people who classify themselves as white and are dedicated to abusing and or subjugating everyone in the known universe who they classify as not white.
Bingo.
Now, that's either true or false. I've concluded it to be true. Thus, the system of white supremacy exists, irregardless of what any black person says or any
Bingo.
white person. But please, pardon me for interrupting there. What I would like to say in closing on the areas of law and politics is, a lot of us so-called black men talk real tough. We talk about what black women are doing, but if we're not trying to be friends with white guys, then when we go stand up in front of them, the judge in his black robe, you don't have that same ire for him like you do black women. And he got way more power than she do, because he empowers her to fuck up your life. But, you do sound like a bunch of angry birds, man. Really. And I want you guys to understand, I'm not absolving black women of their behavior. What I'm trying to communicate to you guys is that their behavior is indicative of a bigger problem. To put it in a metaphor, black women are the Band-Aid that's covering the open wound of white supremacy that we as so-called men don't want to deal with directly.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I want to go into the area of religion. Shout out to the show I was most recently on. I had to troll them dudes when they asked me who I had the most respect for, and I said Jesus.
right. I already know why.
because I've come to the conclusion that it's as easy to rile up black males as it is black females and to get them acting emotional. All you got to do is do something to cause it, and that works every time. Because the truth of the matter is I don't respect my father or my mother or any of you listening. I respect myself, and so should you. I love my father and my mother. See, we didn't get to that part because you guys are clowns, but it's all good. Anyway, the area of religion is, I find it to be highly problematic because for a long time in history, at least since Serapis in ancient Kemet, white folks have strategically placed at their image as the figure of divinity or as God. And what this does is it prevents us as black people from seeing white people for who and what they are and the terroristic things that they do and have done to us. And it also keeps us on a never-ending search for the so-called good white person that cannot exist in a racist system. If we live in a white supremacist system, it's not possible to be white and not be a white supremacist. It just defies logic. And with us as black people, white people have come to learn about us that we are so religious that it makes us stupid. And I would like to have you guys' thoughts on this particular area and what your observations have been in regards to how it affects Black people and how white folks use it to dominate us.
Man, let me hit on that real quick, man. My question started with religion, man, when I was a kid, man. You know what I'm saying? So it just never added up. It never made sense. I always questioned church, but I went along with it because that's how we was raised. And even with my mother, you know, she used to try to get us to church. She ain't really believe in that shit. Excuse me. She ain't really believe in it either, man. I mean, of course, she believes in God. People say a lot of things, but do they really mean it? But she was taking us to church when we was youngest because she thought that's what she had to do. And, you know, cool, whatever. But even when I was in church, man, it's just certain things. The first lie that really stood out to me, I mean, when I got baptized, and it was a deacon, an older man, and I'll never forget, we was in the church basement, and he asked me, so what color wings you want? I told him I want clear wings, or white wings. He was like, okay, they gonna be here, you gonna get them. So the next time I seen him doing the next service, next Sunday or whatnot, I asked him where my wings was at. He just kept telling me they was on their way. And after a while, I mean, I'm 92 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I knew, and right then is when my ears started perking up. Then I started paying attention to the people who was so-called catching the Holy Ghost. It was this lady in church. I never forget her name. Her name was Miss Brenda. Every Sunday she was catching the Holy Ghost. And I just remember looking around, okay, and she got all these problems and shit. Excuse me, man, my bad. I keep mixing up the cursing.
Hey, it's an adult show. Don't stress yourself. You know, if you two gonna strike it down, they gonna strike it down. Ain't nothing we can do about it. But you know, just be authentic in the moment. And I want to say, I think Miss Brenda and probably all them females who be having the Holy Ghost in church, they probably all got clip vibrators.
Yeah. So she had all different type of problems and stuff, man. Every week she was giving a testimony. It was like clockwork. But I'm like, okay, it says that God provides for everybody. He blesses everybody. So I'm wondering why, okay, all these other successful people who got this and that in the church, how come they not falling out? You know, these are the questions I'm asking myself as a kid, man. You know what I'm saying? I didn't start just questioning God with the religion, not God, but religion when I became an adult. I was thinking about this when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. And it wasn't adding up. But of course, you don't have the courage and you not articulate enough and really you don't even know who you are to be questioning things like that. But you just know something does not add up, man. And it's just sad. I mean, this lady, man, she used to have Holy Ghost all the time, man. And even as a kid, I thought, like, is she doing this because she want to be seen? Does she want attention? You know what I'm saying? So fast forward to just now, man, how I feel about religion, or my thoughts on religion. Hey, man, if that's what people need, then so be it. But I don't identify with religion. You know what I'm saying? I don't identify with none of that. You know, because even at one point in time, man, I lost my faith. I went through some things which led me to question my faith. So I started looking at other options. I started looking at other things. And one of the groups that I came across was the 5%ers. So I started getting, getting into their literature and stuff like that, man. And the guy who created it, his name was Clarence X. And he was the guy, you know, he broke off from the Nation of Islam and created the 5%ers, or the Nation of Gods and Earth. And, you know, he put the literature out there that we all are gods, you know what I'm saying? And everybody who you know, ran under him and studied under his tutelage, you know, they referred to him as God. But then after a while, I thought, I'm like, okay, you got all these different religions that's saying this, that, and the third. And even with the 5%er, you know what I'm saying? I really wanted to go with that to a degree. You know what I'm saying? I align myself with some of the ideology, but I'm still like, well, this still a man. You know what I'm saying? They calling him God, but he's still a man. This man got killed in the elevator, blew to pieces by shotgun shells over gambling debt. This is what I read about him. So he was still a man. So this just led me to question, like, well, who do you follow? You know what I'm saying? And that made me realize, well, damn, well, anybody can just come up and make a religion. If you can just get enough people to believe in it, people will follow it. You know, and ever since I came to that realization, it's just like, okay, I don't do religion. I just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Every man got to look inside himself, and you got to identify what your spiritual foundation is, whatever that may be. But the way that they got the noose and the lasso around black people's neck with Christianity is sad to me, man. You know what I'm saying? When I see,
I say religion, period, because it's Christianity, it's Islam, it's Hebrew Israelite, all of them. Any of them that's connected to the Bible or the Hebrew Torah, or any of the Abrahamic traditions.
All three Abrahamic religions,
specifically, any of the three major religions. I don't begrudge people of practicing religion. I don't subscribe to it myself, but I agree with what you were saying, Vonnie. I've had similar experiences in my lifetime. With that, go ahead and offer your commentary, Five.
Thank you. Brother Vonnie had me dying over here. I had to get the mic muted. But yeah, I'm usually very careful about how I approach this topic of human activity and how white supremacy has dominated, because this is the most powerful. If you guys remember, I was saying at the beginning, this is the most powerful aspect, the most intangible, powerful aspect. This is the aspect of human activity that they dominate, that gets people killed. Now, all three Abrahamic religions they all start with the Jew. Now, Christianity is African people's umbilical cord to Europeans. Islam is African people's umbilical cord to Arabs. It's all a system of control. Now, real spirituality has nothing to do with religion. Spirituality is defined as what is the unseen. In the metaphysically speaking, spirituality is the energy behind everything tangible. Now, I'm not going to get into a diatribe on this, but I have to let the audience and let the panel, let brothers and sisters aware of this. Everything spiritually going on in the third dimension, the information was already laid out for us by our African ancestors in Kemet, and in Nubia, and in the Dogon, and in Timbuktu. It's all there. Everything, the reason why we're here, what happens after death, who controls this third dimension, what deity is negatively charged, what deity is positively charged, because that's all good and bad is. It was all laid out for us. And we are the gods. We're gods trapped in a physical body. The way it went down, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because this is something that people can want to try to debate me, but then they have to go, I can prove all of it. They have to get on my, and I can prove it. Our bodies are avatars. Your physical body is an avatar, basically a suit in third dimension. Your soul is light. Our souls came from the cosmos, which is space, dropped in frequency when it hit the Earth's atmosphere, dropped in frequency when it got into the actual Earth realm and became physical matter. Just like water goes from gas, liquid to solid. It's the same thing that happened when our souls came to this planet, got to the Earth's atmosphere or the Van Allen belts, turned into a gas, got down past the Earth's atmosphere, turned into a liquid, manifested into our mother. through conception. It was a flash of light. You can look it up. Google flash of light based upon conception. We're gods trapped in a physical body. Now, the entity, I'm not going to get into the entity who controls this third dimension, who controls this earth. It is a he, though, I will say that. And he's a child deity, but he is real. He has a brother. And all of this ain't no mythology. The Dogon told us about this. In Kemet, they laid this out. The Nag Hammadi text laid this out. This has all been written before Europeans even existed. So with that being said, the Europeans that have manipulated spirituality and metaphysics and alchemy into a religion, they basically studied everything. They studied everything that they stole from us as we fail in consciousness. As we failed in consciousness when Kemet was falling, we had to pass the knowledge, and they stole a lot of it, and they just devised a religion to control, because they have no spiritual essence. Their last ticket is down here. That's it. After death for them is the end. Death for us is freedom. So I ain't gonna go too deep, but the religion, that's the most powerful. That is the most powerful form of control white supremacy has over melanated people. Hands down. If you could break that chain, like Shaka Musa Bird Shango said, he said this in the 90s, but you're not going, he wrote European holidays of African genocide. If you're not going to get to the majority of our people without getting into that Bible and understanding that Bible, because it's a metaphor. The book is a metaphor. But yeah, the religion, that's how they got us. I mean, like, hands down, my mother, not my father, but 85% of my family are Christians. I grew up in the church, just like Vonnie. And once religion, they got, white supremacy has this lock and key on a religious aspect.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in the church. My grandparents were into the Nation of Islam, and I was born some years after Malcolm X had gotten killed. And at that time, the Nation of Islam had pretty much splintered and was no longer like it was. That to say, I grew up more, in the Arabic tradition, some form of Islam, because there's different forms if people are not aware of it. In America, we black folks, we remix it to fit us. And this is how you get things like the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, and the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths, because and the Ansar Islam community, because they're all spinoffs of the general religion of Islam. I myself can't claim to have ever been a religious person, and I would like to echo both of you guys' sentiments, Vonnie specifically. It never made sense to me. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because my one question to religious people is, how do you know what God wants? I mean, how did God tell it to you? Because if you're telling me that he told it to you this in the same way that he told it to somebody else, that don't make no sense. And a man who only has one book has no book. But this is the area of religion is a very, very powerful psychological tool used against us. And it's been being used against us at least since ancient times. Jesus, as I understand it, is just the latest version of the prototype, which is Serapis, when the Greeks and Romans first arrived to Africa. The next area of activity is usually the most interesting one, especially since here in the manosphere and the red pill space, guys' conversation is primarily about women, and that is the area of sex. And this area is as powerful as the area of religion, because what I have come to understand is that when you have sex with white men or white women as a black man or a black woman, it completely nullifies you and makes you unable to fight against the system. I mean, just think. First, you'd have to look and deal with the psychological ramifications of if your mate is a racist or not. Then you have to deal with the psychological ramifications of how do you go about putting them out of business. And because sex is as powerful as it is, being one of the most powerful motivators of human behavior, the other being violence, I do not advocate that black males or females have sexual intercourse with white people until this system no longer exists, at least. I personally do not engage. I don't entertain. That's not to say that I don't find white women attractive for another reason aside from her physicality or her sex. Because attraction is not limited to just those two things. I'm attracted to access and information. And believe you me, they got it. They got more than black people got. Believe you me. And as long as this system has been in existence, is evidence enough. What are you guys' thoughts in regards to participating in sexual intercourse with white folks, suspected racists?
You want to go first, Vonnie? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Man, that's a real tough one, man. Because I heard Dr. Umar Johnson touch on this, and even though, in my past dealings with women, I have messed around with a couple white women, and at the time I never thought nothing about it. Even when I was younger, like in high school and shit, I wanted to mess with white women because I thought they was easy to get along with. You know what I'm saying? But as I've gotten older, me personally, I don't discriminate. You know what I'm saying? But at this point in time in my life, man, I'm more attracted to the melody, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of just something instinctual. She's the same color as me. Like, it don't matter what color she is, but shit, hey, man, a black woman that's on the same page as me, that's a recipe for great.
Oh, you're a little choppy there, Vonnie.
Women in this matter.
Okay, there you go. You back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So we supposed to be building resources for ourselves, and we have children, and we get married to a white woman. Something happened to us. That money is not going to go back to the black community. You know what I'm saying? So that's a real tough one, man. I'm gonna be completely gonna hold y'all up, man. I ain't even gonna lie. If I met a white chick who I was attracted to today, and we just had that vibe, then I'm gonna fuck with her. I ain't even gonna lie to you. But now, do I seek out white women? No. My first choice of women is black and Spanish. But I don't chase after white women. You know what I'm saying? But if she chews up, and I'm digging, I like what I see, then I might go ahead and fuck with that. So I ain't even gonna lie to you. I can't even.
it's hard for me to put a nail in the coffin on that one, man. Like I understand the whole thing about keeping everything inclusive within the race. That makes a lot of sense. And maybe in a couple of years, maybe I might get to that point. But I'll be lying to y'all right now.
Well, you got a little choppy there, but
I respect his honesty.
I respect your. I was about to say the exact same thing. I respect your honesty. At least you're not pretending. You know what I'm saying? What I would say is the only way that I can mess with a white woman in such a capacity is only after the system of white supremacy no longer exists.
Exactly.
And my reasoning behind that is because if I'm to interact with a white woman in such a way under conditions of white supremacy, then how do I justify that or rationalize that out in my mind, knowing that I have to also be suspicious that this person could be a racist?
100%. And
so I say that to say, good luck.
Definitely.
Because contrary to what a lot of us think, white women do a lot of damage. And if you think that the white woman's role in white supremacy is limited to the bedroom, you are terribly mistaken, because we spoke on it earlier. Education. Just didn't point out the fact that over 70% of the teachers are white, and more probably 80% of the teachers are white, and 70% of them are women.
I thought you thought like 80.
I'm not sure about the exact numbers, but it's up there. And for me personally, I've had enough experiences in my life. I too have dealt with white women in such a capacity, but as the cliche goes, when you know better, you do better. And I have come to the conclusion that it's in my best interest, especially as far as my life is concerned, to just not partake in such an endeavor. I mean, we just watched a black male like us get killed by a white woman who allegedly mistakenly walked into his house and shot him to death. Ain't no way in the hell I'm getting ready to sleep with one of the motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Whether they the police or not. Because she's not going to get held accountable for that. And if she do, white people are going to make the determination, not black people. So, again, 100%. I be safe, and I wish you luck. That's all I can say in regards to that. Five, your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sex is the most powerful motivating, as nearly full teachers is the most powerful motivating factor amongst human beings outside of power in the system of white supremacy itself. Like T.O.P said, it's virtually impossible to have a constructive sexual relationship with a white person under the system of white supremacy. Nearly Fuller defines them as tragic arrangements, and as I have been living 37 years and have been aware enough to critique these relationships maybe since about 16, that's all I've seen was tragic arrangements. I can't name one quote unquote interracial relationship that is not a complete clusterfuck. And I've said that in quotes online multiple times. And white women have a particular clandestine role in white supremacy. So it's mathematically impossible. It doesn't equate to have a sexual relationship with a white woman, whether she's a white supremacist or not, and be trying to eliminate the system of white supremacy. It's ass backwards. Now, from what I've seen, what I have analyzed, I've done a psychological profile on a lot of black males who I've seen engage in relationships with white women, and it usually is a lack of sexual discipline, or it's the lust for the easy sexual access. I have had a exchange with a white woman maybe 10 years ago, and a lot of the myths, a lot of the stereotypes is true. They will do pretty much whatever you want them to do sexually. And for undisciplined black male, that sounds like heaven. If you're thinking with your phallus 24/7. But when you realize that you're in a system where you can get murdered, your child can get murdered, your sister can get murdered, your mother can get murdered on camera by individuals who resemble them, and nobody get punished, then that's just you can't even engage in that if you know that that's a reality. So, and then this miscegenation or interracial relationships, this is actually the inception of the war that we're in with Europeans after we created them. The inception, they used the white woman sexually to create the mulatto race. They did this in Kemet, and they have been doing it ever since. Get Chancellor Williams' book, The Destruction of Black Civilization. That's like the Bible that lays out why we're in the predicament we're in right now. The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. So
great book, by the way.
Absolutely. So it's a tragic arrangement. And like T.O.P said, if the system of white supremacy didn't exist, I would indulge in all races. And race is a real thing. I want to add that too. But since we're dominated by white people who practice white supremacy, not those who don't, I can't engage in that. There's nothing constructive that's going to come from that. It's confusion. Every brother I know involved with a white woman is completely confused, almost to the point where it's like I'm looking at an idiot in 2021. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just giving people my personal experience. Every black male I know in a sexual relationship with a white woman in 2021, it's almost like talking to a complete idiot to me. So, and I'm not gonna this is a very touchy subject, so I'm not gonna go too in depth, but I don't involve myself in tragic arrangements.
This is one of the most touchiest taboo subjects, and I would like to echo. I want to say this is either Mr. Fuller's or it might be Gus T. Renegade's sentiments. As a matter of fact, I think it was Gus T. Renegade's sentiments. If having sexual relations with white people was going to solve this problem called white supremacy, this thing would have been solved on a plantation.
Right.
I don't begrudge what people do. When I speak about these particular subjects, or when I share my thoughts with you folks and you gentlemen here on the live with me, I'm talking about what T.O.P is and is not going to do. We all have a mind of our own. I'm well aware of the fact that we as humans, we have our own self-interest at heart, and so we're going to do the things that are going to get us to where we're trying to go, even if it's incorrect. As far as sex with white women go, I don't partake, and it's because of the understanding I have about this system. And I would like to say to all of the black gentlemen that's in the red pill space and in the manosphere space, next time you talk about black women dealing with zaddy, understand he's your zaddy too. All you rainbow dudes who don't want to be men, because we don't want to have that conversation either. And I would also like to say that just be careful, because we know historically that interacting with white women has been the cause of our death in many cases, specifically during lynchings, and most notably with the young man by the name of Emmett Till. And just here in the state that I reside in, here recently in the last handful of years or so, Mr. Jonathan Farrell, who
Where
got
you
in a
at,
car,
T.O.P?
and I'm in North Carolina. He
Oh,
got in a car accident down in Charlotte, knocked on a white lady's door. She called the police. The police killed him. But that didn't have anything to do directly with sex, but just to illustrate how dangerous it can be to interact with white women. So be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful and be mindful. The ninth area is the area of war. And like I pointed out earlier, at this point in the game, we not get ready to be protesting as a group to try to solve our problem with the system. At this point, like Mr. Fuller so correctly pointed out, it's going to come down to each individual effort. But we all have to be of the same idea that this system got to go. And we got to replace it with a better system. That to say that from this point forward, the only way that we can engage in a war with the system is in an irregular fashion. We really got to be the apes or the gorillas that white people accuse us of being.
Yep.
Because they can beat us all if we're in a group, but they can't beat us all individually at the same time. So I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to go about doing it or even to make any suggestions, just to relay some ideas on how you should think about, interacting in this system, how you should conduct yourself, because you're really literally behind enemy lines. And with that, would you guys please share your thoughts on the ninth area of activity, which is the area of war? Because a lot of us don't believe or think that white supremacy is war being waged on us. But
100%.
rest in peace to the great Dr. Welsing. She would beg to differ.
100%. Vonnie, let me touch on this real quick. Let me hit this running. I adopt what Neely Fuller has outlined for us as black men in particular are going to have to engage in maximum emergency independent compensatory action. We know what that's defined by. If the audience does it, then they can look up Neely Fuller's book. I'm going to be very, very tactful with my words on an open airline, on an open air. But I'll say this: every quote unquote race that has encountered this type of blatant warfare with the white supremacy will always outnumber and they will always outgun. But history shows us that didn't stop them from attacking proactively, attacking and defending themselves against this enemy. And they used guerrilla warfare, sabotage, and espionage. That is literally the only way to fight an enemy who is outnumbering you and outgunning you. That's the only way. And you have to be your own army, like the kamikaze in Japan. The kamikaze knew, the Japan knew they didn't have as much boats, ships, and submarines that the United States had, and they knew they did not control the skies, but they knew that if one of them acted independently, they could take out a whole ship, and that's what they did. And they had their code, which was their code as Japanese. But one ship, one kamikaze plane, flew suicide mission into a ship and took out a whole destroyer, took out a whole tanker, took out a whole U.S. military vessel, and that changed the warfare game. Now we know historically the European stepped it up tenfold and dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that ended the whole shit. But back to Neely Fuller, he says it in the book. We're going to reach a situation where we're going to have to force the white supremacists to either kill us all or end the system of white supremacy altogether. They're going to have to kill us all or leave us alone, because at this, I mean, this is beyond terrorism now. I mean, this is just blatant. This is beyond terrorism. I mean, what they did, what that Asian white supremacists did to that 6-year-old black child, a month ago? He tried to hit him with a sledgehammer for getting his bike out of his yard, and a little 6-year-old black boy ran. All of this shit is on camera, and then he goes in his house and pulls a gun and shoots the 6-year-old, and then he goes to white supremacist kangaroo court. They don't charge him with attempted murder, and they give him a bond, a $10,000 bond. I mean, see, this is when this is a point where they're so blatant that they're basically like, what are y'all going to do? What are y'all going to do? Are you going to wait for it becomes one of your family members and friends? Because a lot of our people are just like, oh, it ain't happened to me or my peoples yet. Well, it didn't happen. Well, that's what everybody said before it happened to them. You know what I mean? That's what everybody said before it happened to them. So this is what we're in, and we cannot be afraid of death. And and it doesn't matter about how many guns they got or what their sophisticated technology is, because a lot of that shit we can manipulate, but we are on armor. And that's it. It's got to be an eye for, man. The way I'm moving and the way a lot of my men are moving, if they take one of ours, if they touch one of ours, 5 of them gotta go. I don't respect nothing that the European wrote down as far as the law or any of that shit. Law enforcement, and I'm saying it, this is me. This is not the views of T.O.P Podcast. This is fine. I don't respect none of these motherfuckers' laws. I don't respect none of these none of these terrorists, race soldiers. If they touch me or mine, I'm the law. And that's how black, this is where we at. So that's my statement.
Man, I'm with you. I'm with you on that 100%, 5. And I thought like that at one point in time too, as far as being ready to die. You know what I'm saying? Which I still am, because I'm black. Shit, you got to be ready to die, because you ain't got, because it's the system that we in. But a lot of black people are scary though, and like I said earlier, man, a lot of people are comfortable. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the same incentive to fight like our people did have back in the day. You got your tools and your fuse who might be ready to die, but to get that type of change to like overthrow a system, people got to be ready to shed blood. You have to be ready to die, and most of us is not ready to die. We'll kill each other. We'll do that in a heartbeat over some dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that I was thinking about too. You know, we hear this term real nigga, right? Everybody's a gangster, everybody's a real nigga. But I want to know which one of these factions of real niggas, or which one of these real niggas ever went and searched for a white supremacist compound, or where they practicing and training with military grade weapons for race wars. You know what I'm saying? Because if a race war was to pop out right now, at this moment, we screwed.
And I wish I had the crickets sound effect right now, because that would be the response to your question.
We screwed. We don't know how. Most of us don't know how to survive in the wilderness. They training for all that. You know what I'm saying? So since I know, or since I've come to the understanding of, okay, motherfuckers ain't finna get out here and die. Black people ain't ready to die, man. Women, please. They'll sell us out. They'll sell us out. So, and shit, we'll sell each other out. I'm not talking about us on this panel, but you know what I mean, just in general. So You seen what they did to Cube when he tried to go sit down with Trump with the plan. I don't know how y'all felt about that, but me personally, I didn't see the problem with that, and he got attacked for that. So we not ready to die for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, I follow the code. I follow that code of conduct, and I have to give it all thanks to Nelly Fuller, man. In case in point, I was in Louisiana probably like a month or two ago, man, and I know Top, he knows trucking talk, but I had to get a receive of my paperwork. So while I was unloading my load, he stood outside with me. I had to go to this refinery. I think it was an oil refinery. So, older white dude, we talking and shit, and so this dude, he gets to talking about see, I know how to make white people feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I know how to get their asses talking. So in our conversation, he gets to talking about how he didn't see the point of them ripping down all these monuments, all the Black Lives Matter thing and shit like that. He didn't see the point of them tearing down these monuments that represented racism and shit like that.
Really?
Yeah. He felt like it was a waste of time. So he got to talking about, he also brought up the Confederate flag, and he was like, well, it's not what people think it is. And so, and I remember this particular day I had on shades. So I'm just looking at him. You know what I'm saying? He can't see my facial expression stayed the same, but he can't read my eyes. So I'm looking at him like, is this motherfucker really saying this? You know what? I follow code on that one. I ain't even contest him. I just looked at him like, yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Because
I'll tell you, and pardon me for cutting in. I'll tell you what I would ask him. Well, if the rebel flag doesn't really mean what we think it means, could you please tell me what it means? Because as a white person who represents it, I mean, obviously he has some interest in it. He's defending it low key. Then he must know what it means. So please tell me.
But see,
and then just a second, as far as the monuments go, I kind of want to. Well, I don't kind of, but he does actually have a point. And Gus T. Renegade on the Cow Show echoed these very same sentiments. It's really a waste of time us having them take down the monuments. And the reason why it's a waste of time, because the system still exists. Just because you take the monuments down don't mean that white supremacists still ain't going to get up and write laws tomorrow that's going to fuck with your life. So what's the point in us being so serious and not being serious, worried about a Confederate monument as motherfuckers who died 150 years ago? The goal is not to score a first down. The goal is to win the game. It's not even to score a touchdown. But, we get caught in that celebratory shit. You take down the monument, we want to have a party and a cookout. But pardon me for interrupting. I had to say that.
No, you good. But I just fell in the cold when he said that, because it was like you said, you would have asked him. But in my mind, it wasn't no need to ask him, because I already know what it means. I didn't even want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even want to hear it, because he did try to explain it. This is what they all fucking say. It meant what do you say? Something about going, the same shit they say. It represent the right of freedom, some bullshit. But he was saying everything except what it really fucking meant. But I ain't had to argue with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was doing his job as a white supremacist.
Exactly.
That's their job, to tell lies and mix some truth in it to confuse you.
But he couldn't. That's the thing, though. See, I'm the wolf in sheep's clothing, because he don't know. I'm looking at him like, all right, I already know exactly who you are. And I've had to go to this place a few times. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? If I see him, we'll talk. You know what I'm saying? But I already know who he is. You know what I'm saying? I already know who he is. So it's all fun and games to me, because you out in the red. You a pure racist. For you to even sit up there and defend that and give me something other then what that shit really meant. Okay, cool. I like to know who I'm around. You know what I mean? See, I'm thinking a little bit more tactical because we need soldiers. We need soldiers, but we need different people on all walks across the board. So I'm the tactical motherfucker, man. And people like that, see, maybe some years ago, man, that shit would have got my blood boiling. But see, I had, I think about how Neely Fuller would approach it. Maybe Neely Fuller would have asked him a question, or maybe he wouldn't have. Because if a motherfucker gonna sit up there and paint a blatant lie, there's no reason to even talk with him. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it.
I still am interested in hearing what he got to say because
you're right. You're right.
It's indicative. It's indicative of what's going on in his mind.
Exactly. You know what's right? T.O.P. Neely Fuller would have asked the same question. Neely Fuller said, "This is in the book." He would have asked him, "How does that?" And this is his statement for any flag. How does that flag relate to your interactions with me? That's all. That's in the book.
Exactly. Yeah. Questions will get you results. This is something that a lot of men must understand. You got to stop being emotional, fellas. I understand. Yeah, you just came into some new information you didn't know before. The internet brought along decentralization of information. So now you have access to all kinds of things that you didn't know. But like I always say, indicate who's in charge, because that's the person who's always most responsible. The captain always goes down with the ship because he's most responsible. Before we get out of here, I just want to briefly touch on a honorable mention as an area of activity, and that is the area of healthcare. And that's because a lot of us as Black folks, we don't eat or exercise correctly. And if you've read the book Medical Apartheid by Harriet Washington, it'll give you some insight as to why you have some aversion to the medical establishment or the medical practice. Emphasis on the word practice, because a lot of what happens to us as Black people in the medical field is, practice. And I find it highly ironic, considering that once upon a time, not only did white folks accuse us of coming from monkeys and apes, but because they were the superior race, why did they need to use us for any genetic or medical research? But be that as it may, I advocate that, just do the best that you can, considering the situation that you're in. It's kind of like being in prison. You don't want to starve to death. So you got to take into consideration that bread and water that they feed you and just how much of it you need to survive so that you can live to fight another day. And before I hand it off to Vonnie and Five for their thoughts, I just want to say about the area of war that not all wars have bombs and bullets whizzing by your head. Many wars are silent. In fact, one of the most devastating wars is the psychological one, because it's a war for your mind. And with that, I would like to have Vonnie and Five's commentary on honorable mention of the area of healthcare before we get out of here.
Well, yeah, health is very serious, man. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Health is a very serious issue, man. And that's one thing that I have grown to be very serious about, man, is my health. And, I'm a truck driver. So, and a lot of people, man, when they get to truck driving, man, they completely give up on their health. They lose themselves out here, man, or they feel like just because you out on the road, ain't no gym around, you don't work out, you don't take care of your health. People use excuses. Well, these pit stops is the only place I can get food from. No, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? I'm working out wherever I'm at, whether I got access to a gym or if I got to work out in a damn parking lot by a puddle of piss and diesel. I got to do what the hell I got to do. So that's the number one thing, man. People have to take care of their health, man. Like, people put everything first except for their health. And this is something that I read in the book, Awakening the Master Masculine. If I can get this right, he said, Master Yao, he said, what is that saying? He said, an inferior man, his diet consists of what he likes because it's what everybody else likes. But a superior man diet consists of, what does he say? A superior man creates his own diet so that he likes and gets what his body needs. You know what I'm saying? So people have to really be conscientious about their health, man, because all the stuff that, especially in the black community, that we've been raised on. I mean, man, look at what we celebrate, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Look at what we celebrate and look at the food.
Look at what we eat.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then see, me and my homeboy, we talk about this shit all the time. And we talk about how in our community, you know, miss such and such, this person or that person, they blood pressure high, cholesterol high, leg got to get chopped off. But what about the shit that you was eating? But then you say, pray for me. How am I supposed to pray for you when you sit up there praying over the food that's killing you? You know what I'm saying? So we got to take responsibility for our health, man. And that's really all I got to say on that one.
Yeah, I just want to interject here that in this area, you know, as far as healthcare is related to food, we're in a situation where we are completely dominated by another group because we're dependent on them not only for the food, but the means to get it. At any time, they could decide to cut off. What are we going to do? Are we still going to be on the internet complaining about what black women doing? I certainly hope not. Your commentary, Five?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great point. I go back to Rising Power, rest in peace to the ancestor, Dr. Layla Africa. You know, he that was his label, that was his area of expertise, was nutrition. As well, of course, is Dr. Sebi, but Dr. Layla Africa was a little bit more, I'll say, scientific. And he was the one who coined the coined the principle, which is fact, that you know, if it's white, it's not for you. As far as food, if you're melanated and it's white, literally in color, it's not for you. Because color is frequency. I want the family and the audience and the listeners to understand this. This is what I've learned through studying metaphysics. Color is frequencies. So race is frequency.
I just want to interject that not only if they don't believe that color is frequency, go look at the light spectrum.
Bingo. Yeah, I said that on I was on Irene the Vet's show a month ago, and I was breaking that down. But anyway, it's frequency. So if you're and I'm not the most healthy individual, but I do not consume a lot of white products, white rice, white salt, white bread, white milk, and this is not just no black power shit. This is real. If you're melanated, you're not supposed to be in digesting those things. It's not for you. And yeah, the health aspect, that's just, you know, a lot of us eat out of comfort or stress. It's an addiction for a lot of us, not for me in particular, but for a lot of us, family members and friends. And they got food deserts in our communities. You know, if y'all don't know what food deserts are, areas where they sell food that is very, very low quality, low price, low quality, and then like a mile to the left, of that area, a mile east of that area, they'll have the same food, higher quality, higher price for that community. So they got the food deserts, they got the GMO foods, just another form of manipulation. Now, the health thing, when it comes to black people, melanated people, we can we're so our melanin is our superpower. So anything that we have did to our body, to our avatars, as a result of our eating practices, can be reversed. I mean, anything, whatever they want to label it, cancer, diabetes, anything can be reversed. All we got to do is start eating natural, eating high electric food with a high frequency, food that is alive as opposed to dead. And this is, I'm preaching to the choir. But yeah, the health thing, unfortunately, they got a lot of our women with the health thing, because a lot of our women do suffer from a lot of health disparities or overweight. And we just got to be honest about that. For some reason, I think it's because of black men, a lot of black males are athletic. We tend not to be as overweight, and I'm not targeting them. I'm just saying. But the health thing is very, very. That's like it. That's like their linchpin, because it's like, okay, if you got them religiously, you got them economically, and then you got them in all the 9 specific areas. So all they can do is try to comfort themselves under this stress, and we're gonna do it with food. So I wish I had the answer to our health problems, which is mostly just discipline, but I don't. It's a real sad thing. And I say I'm not the healthiest person at all, but I don't. It's certain things I do not do. I do not eat red meat. I do eat chicken and fish. I don't eat red meat. I do not eat pork. Yeah, so the health is very serious.
Indeed, indeed. And just like Dr. Wilson says that, and again, peace be upon her, that none of us as black people in the United States anyway qualify for mental health. I would also say that a lot of us don't qualify for A1 physical health either. I would like to thank you, Vonnie, and you five for coming and having this discussion with me. This is my cup of tea. This is the kind of conversations I like to have because I think it's more manly. I don't have time so much to worry about what women are doing because I'm on my job and I'm busy. I'll get to her later. But, like I pointed out earlier in my analogy, black women's behavior is indicative of a bigger problem. And the analogy was that if they are a Band-Aid, then they are covering the ugly open wound of white supremacy. And in Mr. Fuller's code book, he even acknowledged that black women are the open back door, quote unquote, which allows, in part, racism to continue. And so that to say, again, I do not absolve black women of their behavior. But if you get rid of those who incentivize her, then she has no reason to behave continuously in the same manner. So, like Sister Shahrazad Ali said about her book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, was to highlight what traumatic experiences black women have gone through as a result of being victimized by the system of white supremacy, and to remind us as black men that we haven't been on our job because of what we have allowed to happen, not only to ourselves, but our women and our families. With that, I would like to say thank you to all of those who came and caught the live show. And thanks to all of those of you who will catch the replay. Thanks to my guests, Five and Vonnie, for coming through and having the courage to have this kind of a conversation, which I think is highly constructive. And I hope everybody who listens enjoys. I'll be back tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. for episode number 16 of the Kings of Comedy with my young homie Ro and my young homie Tone, You a Fool. And then I'll be back next weekend, Saturday afternoon, Sunday evening, and the following Monday. And my guest will be Rich Authority. We're going to have another conversation about crypto. King Dre, we're going to have a conversation about this thing about being a king, since we like to say it as much as black women say they queens. And then we'll hit you with episode number 17 of the Kings of Comedy next Monday, not this Monday. You can follow me on both of my Instagram pages. I got two, the incredible T.O.P and the Top Cast Instagram page. You can catch episodes of the Top Cast while you're at work or driving or, just walking in the park on Anchor Podcast or your favorite podcast outlet. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel, bring a friend, and tell your auntie I said, I'll make sure I wear that special cologne when I show up next time I see her. Until next time, folks, I'm going to take you out with another joint from my young homie, Jay Geezer. Salute to him. You'll be able to find the links for his music in the video description below, along with links to get with me and follow my music and me on Instagram, as well as Five and Vonnie on Instagram and Facebook. Till next time, folks. Peace.
Sunny day on a lovely so good. Take a look, you can see it on me. Run around throwing love to the whole hood. Who you know can do it like me? I'm just playing the game, but you know every day ain't the same. So I'ma ride for the city, I die for the city, straight from the city.
Yo, waking up in the morning, weekend weather, fly birds outside yawning. Last night was torn and popping, get the song to the next one. I pause for a second, I'm focused. Back got the flow tip, back got the potion. Earth, wind, and fire, moms, pops at it program, but it don't get no better. Stack cheddar on the regular, NY down to NC, playing that bigger dog. Despite the niggas right, I is back on my grind. A fist full of dollars, I'm on fire. Flow like rivers now, tigers with stripes like a tiger. Speech for my kinfolk admire, people that get dough. I'm all about the checks, Nikes, dreaming about who next up, rolling in that. I cruise through the city, passing extras, director yelling action. Fly mommies popping bottles, shots full of armor. I took a glance at a fly lady. I cruise like a hustler to the paper, it's only nature. Shorty got some nice racks on racks and a smooth money maker, yeah.
Got me feeling like Nas in my book of rhymes. You play in the orchestra, bet that you can feel these lines. With my mind reminiscing, JGI spitting subliminal lines, hitting pictures of moments in time. Reminiscing, summarizing the 20th song. And got a vision of a rebel standing next to God. Yo, that's a vision of a devil falling from the sky. And why? Nigga, check my level when I'm on the grind. Ahead of my time, know I'm kinda like fighting for my life in the dark, and ain't no sign of light. Evolution in your life, choosing wrong and right. In 21 now, niggas still be trying to sound alike, trying to do it big and live the style of life. Style sincere, like not said, but all I need's one mic. Looking through the eyes of a little nigga on the grind. Sparks like my rim tie when I pull up on the block. I try to tell you it's just us, nigga. You say you do it all yourself, and that's what's up, nigga. I try to hit you to the plan, let you know that I'm the man. Got my city with me everywhere we go. Got the fam, 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 got the fam.
sunny day on the block and it's so good. Take a look, you can see what I mean. Ride around, showing love to the whole hood. Who you know to do it like me? I'm just playing the game, but you know every day ain't the same. So I'ma ride for the city, I die for the city, straight from the city. Straight from the city.